And hit record.
Recording has started.
Great, thank you. Good evening. My name is James Cromer. I'm a Deputy Executive Director with the Broward MPO. And the MPO, along with Broward County Government, are partnering to lead the development of the Broward Safety Action Plan. We appreciate your being here this evening to participate in the last of this round of public meetings for our priority corridors. There's a lot to say about them, but I will let Christine explain that when she gets into her presentation. But we'd like to thank you all for attending and joining us this evening. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the Q&A chat or the Q&A. Hit the Q&A button down below and you can type in any questions. And then, yeah, you're currently, the attendees are not able to speak, but if you would like to say something, just again, show us in the Q&A and we can give you the opportunity to speak. With that, I want to acknowledge the attendance of our members of our consultant team and representatives from Broward County and also from the city of Hollywood. And then it looks like we have a few residents that are attending today also. So we appreciate you all being here. Let me hand it over to Christine to do her presentation. And again, pop up any questions in the Q&A and we'll go from there. Thanks.
Thanks, James. Can you all see my screen, the blue screen?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So first things first, with the Broward Safety Action Plan, we are making a commitment to no longer saying the word accident. Instead, we're using the word crash. And I'll tell you why. When planes fall out of the sky, we call it a plane crash. And we do that because we want accountability and we want answers of why planes are malfunctioning and why they're not working correctly. Was it the engine? Was it some device? Was it operator error? No, kind of like what are those answers? And um, fortunately, the FAA has a zero fatality history as of recently because they're using all those crashes to understand what's happening and making corrections, so that they've been at zero fatalities. So um, we are we understand that vehicles don't just crash into each other without something happening. You know, was somebody drinking and driving? Was there no lighting? Was there speeding? What are the conditions that led to that crash? There was something, and so kind of digging into that by using the word crash, we're asking for accountability. It wasn't an accident that just randomly happened. There were things that led up to that incident. And so, really, by using the right language, we're really asking for accountability on all levels. So, if we could walk away from one thing tonight, I would just ask that you change your language so that we can all be accountable to get to safer streets. So good news, Broward County and Broward MPO partnered last year and won $5 million for our region so that we could do a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant and produce the Broward Safety Action Plan as one of the largest in the nation. So we're really excited to be working through this grant together in partnership so that we can get to safer streets. So where do we look nationally? Per the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA for short, in 1975, we had 44,525 fatalities. And just a couple years ago, we had 42,514 fatalities. So over those 47 years, we only decreased by about 2,000. So it's at about 5% over 47 years. So we have a lot of work to do. So that's kind of the state of the national where we are. Our goal with this plan is to prevent traffic fatalities and serious injuries throughout the whole county. I'm sure that you're aware that we have these markers on our transportation network. They show that we have fatalities and kind of denote, unfortunately, fatal crashes. And so our goal is to not have any more of these markers out there. So we're working really hard because we can get there. So to start off, and I don't know how we'll do the pop quiz because we can't hear you. Maybe in the chat or in the Q&A, you can put in your answer. Is Broward County's fatal crash rate more similar to France or Egypt? What do you guys think? I don't know if I can see. Can I see the Q&A? There we go. So I think we have
I'm not
4
seeing any
minutes.
guesses yet. So. This is a lesson for us.
Oh, I got one. I got one
Okay,
guess.
Star said France.
What about Patricia, Audrey, and Clarissa? What do you guys think?
Aubrey says Egypt, they drive
Yeah.
slowly in France. Okay, go ahead then,
All
Christy.
right, so we'll go ahead. So it's not France. So I think maybe Audrey's onto something. The Broward County traffic deaths per 100,000 people is 11.8, where France is only 5. So you can see here that this list, we're more than double of France, and this list includes Canada, Australia, Japan, Germany, Sweden, and Norway, which are usually countries that we compare ourselves to because of the investment, and resources that they have. So the answer is Egypt. Um, like I mentioned, 11.8 deaths per 100,000. For Broward County, Egypt is at 12.8, so we're closer to them. We're on the list with Bangladesh, Turkey, Mexico, Russia, Philippines, and Romania. So it's really telling when you think about where we stand and the work we have to do, which list we're on. So what's happening in Broward County? So the team has worked really hard to do a lot of in-depth analysis this year. And we basically looked at the last 5 years of crash data, January of 2018 through December of 2022, and excluding all the freeways, so excluding 95, 75, 575, Turnpike, and Sawgrass, we had 250,729 crashes in that 5-year period, so about 50,000 every year. Of that, 250,000, we had 4,832 people that are either killed or seriously injured. And seriously injured means life changing, right? So they were paralyzed, they lost a limb, they broke their hip and they couldn't walk the same again. So life changing injuries. So about 1,000 every year are happening. When you break it down per week, 4 people killed and 18 people seriously injured every week in Broward County. So just a staggering amount of crashes and unfortunately injuries and fatalities. That breaks down to within those 4,832 fatal and serious, that breaks down to 1,014 people that lost their lives over those 5 years. 4,702 people were seriously injured in those 5 years. And then this last fact is pretty interesting. So out of those killed and serious injury crashes, 77% of them are happening on only 6% of our streets. So we're finding that obviously the more lanes, the more vehicles that are on a street, the more dangerous they are. And so, as you can imagine, a lot of our streets are residential in our county. So the larger streets are the ones that carry more people, and so that's a smaller percentage. And so we can capture a lot of the conditions that are causing severe crashes on a small percentage of our streets. Another way to understand the problem that we have is that, as you can see here, our killed and seriously injured crashes account for 2% of our total crashes. So that 4,832 is only 2% of the 250,000. but that 2% equates to 61% of the economic cost that we spend on traffic crashes, which adds up to a lot. The economic cost includes obviously the cost when you have a crash, the cost of fire PD to come, the cost of all the delay for the people sitting in traffic, right? The cost of the person who passed, their income being lost. So a lot of things go into that cost, thinking about the holistic cost of crashes in our communities. Um, the other side of it is the minor crashes that are zero injury are 76%, and they only cost 6% to our economy. And then the difference between the 2% and the 76% are those minor injury crashes. So that's why the doesn't add up to 100. So that's the difference. So really a small number. The good news is there's only 2% of crashes that we're trying to solve with this plan, but it's going to have a huge impact, save all those lives plus the economics. So we're getting a great impact. So with this program, we're using a different approach. Called a safe system approach. It's got the 5 pillars around the center. You can see we've got safe road users, safe vehicles, safe speeds, and safe roads. And then post-crash care are like the 5 pillars that we're working within. And then around the edge, we've got the 6 principles. Redundancy is crucial. Doesn't serious injury is unacceptable. Humans make mistakes. Humans are vulnerable. Responsibility is shared, and safety is proactive. So, really thinking through all of those principles so that we can create a better holistic system where the onus is on kind of all of us as users, as designers, as operators to make sure that we're doing our part. The responsibility is shared and understand that humans are vulnerable and that we need to make sure there's redundancy in the system. So, if a human does make a mistake, that it's not a deadly mistake or a severe injury mistake. So thinking about the approach a little different. So our project included kind of these 5 steps to identify our corridors. So first we created a high injury network using our historical crash data. Then we created a high risk network that identified kind of what factors are associated with the high injury network to create a high risk network. We did a full countywide equity analysis to understand the populations and the indicators so that we could overlay the first 2 onto the equity analysis to create our project prioritization. We're able to kind of rank all the corridors to come up with our priority corridors. And this is what our map looked like. So the red is our high injury network, and you can see those are pretty much our major corridors throughout the county. The dark purple lines are high risk network. So those are areas that might not have had historical crashes happening, severe crashes happening, but because of our historical know-how, we're trying to be proactive. So those have the similar geometry or number of lanes and things like that. So we're making sure that we're aware that it might be a place where we can be proactive. And then the different levels of pink and purple are equity indicators. And you can see from that legend that the very purple is meaning a high concentration of equity indicators, and then the lighter is a lower concentration. So you can see kind of the purple is kind of concentrated, kind of mid-county, north and south. So from there, we identified our 11 priority corridors. It's about 20 miles of streets. We've got 5 city streets, starting in the north, Southwest 10th Street in Deerfield, Royal Palm Boulevard and Rock Island Road in Margate, Sistrunk Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale, and then Taft Street here in Hollywood. And then we've got 3 county corridors, Northwest 31st Avenue, 19th Street, and then West Broward Boulevard, and then 3 state corridors, US 441, East Broward Boulevard, and Sterling Road. So tonight we wanted to talk about Taft Street and the City of Hollywood. Our limits for the corridor are 70th Terrace to US 441, State Route 7. From 2019 to 2023, we did a safety analysis, and these are kind of the overarching outcomes of that analysis. So we've got about 83 crashes happening every year in this corridor, just in those limits. You can see the economic impact, $41 million from those crashes every year. So a lot of impact. We had over those 5 years, we had two people fatally killed. One was a bicyclist, one was in a vehicle, and then 6 more that were seriously injured. 2 bikes, 1 motorcyclist, and 3 vehicle drivers or vehicle occupants. Within the corridor on the top right, you can see we've got about 15,700 vehicles on the road daily. We've got a posted speed of 35, but an actual speed weekday of 46 miles per hour and weekend 47 miles per hour. So we've got some people going over the speed limit. And then you can see on the bottom there on the left, 81% of these crashes are happening at night. These are all crashes, excuse me, during the day. Um, so mostly during the day, which is interesting. In the middle there, you can see 66% are happening at intersections. So a majority. And then on the right, the environmental factors, we've got 91% happening on dry roads. So kind of showing that it's not just the wet conditions, it's mostly dry conditions. And then those behavioral factors, these are the ones that are noted by the police report. 3% distracted driving, 1% alcohol and drugs, and then 1% aggressive driving. So this is kind of an overview of Taft Street within our corridor. So tonight we would love to hear from you the answer to this question. What roadway safety concerns are you having using this corridor? And then we will take your comments. Tonight you can give them to us verbally. We can have a conversation. I've got Selena, my coworker on the phone to be able to kind of take those comments so we can get them all drafted. The other way, unfortunately, we're not in person, we don't have comment cards, but the other way you can do it is you can just put your comments in the chat or in the Q&A, and we'll make sure they get added. We just ask that if you can be as specific as possible to the location. And then the third way is you can go on our website. We have a county-wide pointed out map, is what we're calling it. You can go in there and you can add any safety concerns that you have across Broward County. But we'd love to hear them on Taft Street so we can put them into our concept. So what's next after tonight? We will take all of your comments, and the intent is to put together a conceptual design that'll lead to safer outcomes. The intent is to come back to the City of Hollywood in early 2025. We're thinking late January, early February with the concept, kind of hear your feedback, hear what you like, hear what we need to work on, add, and then we'll wrap that up and get it adopted next summer is the intent. And then how can you stay involved? There's 3 ways. You can join our website. We would love for you to go on our website. We've got a safety pledge there where you can commit to making safer behaviors today. The second thing is the pointed out map I mentioned, where you can go in and put any concerns that you have on our streets throughout the county. And then the third thing is a dedication page. We plan to dedicate this safety action plan to those who have lost their lives on streets in Broward due to traffic. So we would love it if you could share this so that we can dedicate this plan to more people. The second way is social media. Through Broward MPO handles, we're sharing awareness and education and updates via Facebook through Speak Up Broward, LinkedIn, Metropolitan Planning Organization, and then Instagram with Speak Up Broward. And then the third and final way is through email, ss4a@browardmpo.org. That's how you can stay involved. And that's the whole presentation that I have for you tonight. We'd like to switch over to open it up for having a discussion about Taft so we can answer that question. So James, I don't know if you had any last comments or you ready to jump into the discussion?
So yeah, I just wanted to help lead the discussion while we're here.
Yep. Oh, Selena was going to share her screen. So let me stop sharing. And then Selena, you want to share your screen?
Can you see it? I'm sharing right now.
It's coming up. Okay, I only see a black screen. James, can you see
Saying
Selena's screen?
screen share is loading.
Okay.
There it is. Okay, I see it.
All right. So if anybody wants to let us know they want to say something, and I'll give you the opportunity to speak. You can put a note in the Q&A box. And if nobody does, I might just click on somebody.
Well, I can open if you want.
Okay.
You know, we went to the HOA meetings of the two neighborhoods, and a few highlights from those discussions. So I don't know why, Selena, I can't see your screen now. I was going to point out where I'm talking about. Can you reshare?
I think she's still having internet issues, so she dropped and
Oh,
she's now just coming back on.
Darn.
okay. Sorry. Do you want me to share?
I'm sorry, it seems like my internet is not stable.
Okay, let me share my screen, Selena, if you'll take notes, though.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay, can you all see the map now? Sorry.
So, and I guess, Rebecca, you made it possible for everybody to speak?
It's a small group. I figured why not?
Okay. If anybody wants to say anything, just unmute your microphone and we'll go from there.
Can you see the map or no?
Yes.
Perfect. So I'll just note really quick, there's a public shopping center on the north side of Taft. We've got two big shopping centers basically on the north side, and then residences and small commercial on the south side. And so one thing I heard was that we've got people that want to cross the street, but maybe they're not willing to walk down to the signalized intersections because they're kind of far spaced. So they've got people crossing mid-block. So kind of a need to cross mid-block safely was one of the things that was noted. Another thing that was interesting that I heard was you've got this two-way left turn lane in the middle. I don't know if you can see it here, but you've got 2 lanes eastbound, 2 lanes westbound, and then you've got like a center two-way left turn lane with no brakes. And so people are driving down the two-way left turn lane instead of using it just as a turn lane. They're using it kind of as a passing lane. Or those are two things that I heard from the neighbors just to kind of get the thoughts flowing. So I'd love to hear from you all what your concerns are.
You know, I might start at the top of the list. Maybe Andrea, I know you're a city staff person. I don't know if there's anything you want to say about this particular area. You can go ahead and speak.
Hi, James. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is Andrea. So, I don't have anything to add at this time. I just want to thank you for hosting this virtual meeting. I know, you had done some previous, outreach, and we appreciate you taking this initiative to do another meeting. And I know Clarissa, our city engineer, and Azita, our deputy director, are on, so they may have
Yes.
something more detailed to add or not from their perspective. But thank you for hosting this again.
You're glad to have you here. I don't know if Azita or Clarissa want to say anything. If not, I'll go to some of the residents.
No, I just appreciate you guys doing this over again. I know you did it as a favor for us, so thank you very much.
Sure.
James,
We did get a lot of good comments previously. Go ahead, Clarissa. Sorry.
and James and Christine, I know we've done some meetings to talk about the technical things and some of the minor comments that were given to you guys about the intersection that the skew intersection at 66, and I know we're going to take all those into consideration as part of the project moving forward. So. And I don't have anything else to add other than that. And we'll continue to work with you guys.
Yeah, and we'll be getting back to you with some synthesis of all that we heard. Just so everybody knows too, that Christine did go to a couple of the homeowner association meetings north and south of Taft. And then we had a public meeting, and we had a roadway safety assessment where we walked or rolled along the corridor. There was a gentleman who joined us in a wheelchair, and he pointed out some very interesting details about how wheelchair gets around. So that was good to have. Patricia and Shar, you're the local residents there. I don't know if you have anything you want to add.
Good evening, everybody. I'm curious, I apologize if I missed it. What is the speed limit on this part of Taft here?
40. Let's go back. Posted 35.
I frequently drive on this portion of Taft, and I think it's a great idea to put a walkway or a reduced speed or something through that little area. That bus stop on the south side of Taft, kind of in the middle of the lights between 67th and 70th Terrace. I think it's a great spot right there. People getting off the bus, they can cross straight over into the plaza. Those other two bus stops that are kind of closer to the light on 68th, you know, just walk there. Well, obviously the one is on the same side, but the other one just walks to the light right there. Cars aren't really super disturbed by a crosswalk there. I don't know if a reduced speed is like too much of an ask, but maybe just down to like 25, just because people are still going to do 35, 40 anyway. But maybe instead of like 50, 60, it could be a little helpful. That's just my input.
And Christine, so we looked at the speeds that people are actually traveling. How much? So the speed limits.
So the speed limit's 35. People are going 46, 47.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So
And
she's
Shar,
right.
what were some of the concerns about the speeding there? Because it's people crossing the street. If
Right,
they're
for
getting
sure. There's, you know, if someone lives in that area, if they don't have access to a car or they're just enjoying a nice day and they want to walk, like there's no need for someone to be going that fast in that area. And I think that, you know, a crosswalk with some flashing lights could encourage people to slow down.
and just, you know, we did talk to some people from Broward County Transit about the location of the bus stops too, because when they're not located near a signalized intersection, then that almost invites people to cross where they get off. There's some issues
I
there.
also have ridden the bus in a former life of mine. So yes, absolutely. If there's the, you know, if the crosswalk is way east, well, I'm not going that way. I already have to walk X amount of blocks or miles to catch this bus to get back. You know, people aren't doing that. So
And I'm personally a transit rider too, and because we're recording this, I can't confess to what you just said, but I know your situations. But there's also, and there's the question also of, there are questions about, it's legal to cross between signals at an intersection. There are some safety issues associated with that. And then there's also people that might just cross wherever they are. And so that raises some safety issues too. So. Anything else? Go ahead. Sorry. Who's talking?
I had a question that came up as we're looking at this corridor. We've got the church on the east end, close to 441. We've got 2 lanes there now. Does that ever get like congested, like the entry and exit to the church? Like even on the weekends, enough that the traffic spills into the street? Like, do we need to think about that? That's for anybody, city or public.
Can you point that out where that is, Christine?
Right here, it's just west on the west side of 441, north side of Taft. There's this really big church. And I heard from the neighborhood that we've got people walking to church. And so right now, because there's no sidewalk on the south side of Taft, people are having to cross and then walk along the north side. But as far as vehicular traffic, it looks like there's a pretty big parking lot. And this is a really big establishment. So I just wondered if there was any congestion associated with like people going in and out of the church that spills out onto Taft, if we need to take that into account.
I have not heard of any congestion issue or backup from the church.
No? Okay.
So we have not heard anything about that driveway there in any way.
Okay.
We've explored the option to add sidewalk on the south side of Taft along the cemetery, but we don't have sufficient right of way there.
Mm-hmm.
So we have not been able to work out anything to make that successful.
Okay.
And Clarissa, we've heard some multiple comments, and so in the next few weeks, we may come back to you with some ways to explore that. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see, Patricia, who is also, I think, a local resident. Do you have anything you want to share with us? Okay, I don't think we're getting anything from Patricia. We have, if Patricia or Shar, if you want to say anything, please jump in. But we also have a couple of Broward County staff. We have Mintang Lee and Antigone Peebles, who's from Broward County Transit. I don't know if you all want to say anything, Antigone, if you want to make any comment about the bus stops, and if not, we did get comments about that previously.
Hi, this is Antigone. I just want to say good evening to everyone. And thank you so much for being here. I don't have any comments at this moment, just trying to take some notes to discuss with the department.
Okay. And Mintang, I think, did every single of one of the walks that we did, the roadway assessments.
Yes.
I don't know if you're still
Can you hear me?
recovering or if you want to say anything.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have much to add. I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to attend. And if there's any comments or feedback or suggestions, please feel free to bring it up, and Broward County will certainly take a listen. Thank you.
All right. You know, Christine, while you're here, I was just looking at what the bus stop locations, and on the bottom map over by 64th, there were 2 fatal crashes near that intersection. And what kind were they? Do we know?
One motor vehicle, one bicycle.
Okay. All right.
You can see that one purple, one
There we
white.
go. I couldn't
So,
see.
bike, motor vehicle.
Hey, and then if you can zoom out a little.
Of course.
Wanted to see some of the other crash locations. So there's, some near certain intersections. That's interesting. But then there's another that's kind of randomly floating out there.
And what's interesting too is we've got 3 of the 8 total are bicycle crashes, and there's no dedicated bike facility on this corridor.
Really?
So
Okay.
interesting to understand that correlation.
Okay. And when we were out walking, I believe school was letting out.
Mhm.
So we saw some students, I think, coming up 64th from
Right.
far south,
Um,
if I remember.
Yeah, I think they said they were coming from MacArthur High
Yeah.
School, which is not very close, I understand. So they were walking pretty far.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but I don't think there's a school directly on this corridor. So I'm not sure, my mind, when we talk about school, my mind goes to school zones. Like, do we
Yeah,
need a school zone?
there's a
But
couple
I'm not
further north
sure.
on, couple further
Yeah.
north on Sheridan, so they're
So,
close to Sheridan. So.
yeah, we can look into if that would be something we need to look into.
But a school zone would be, yeah, really close to the school typically, right?
Right. That's my understanding. So let me kind of look at what the proximity requirement is. But yes, we definitely saw some kids walking. And the one, to your point, came up 64th on the east side. And I think she crossed and then walked up the west side of 64th because there's no sidewalk. Anyway, so
Oh, there was no sidewalk on the north side of 64th there?
there's no sidewalk on the south side here. So I remember she was like, she didn't really have a choice. She had to cross.
Okay.
So, um, and then we saw a bicyclist on the street on the north side. There's a pair of bicyclists on the sidewalk.
Yep, I remember them.
So,
Yeah, for those of you who weren't with us on the assessment, we met in front of the Publix and we split into two groups. And so some walked
mhm,
east and some walked west. So I happened to be on
mhm.
the walk with Christine. So it's not like that's the only place anybody looked at. There was another group that went the other way too.
Yep.
All right. Well, if anybody, let me call up the Q&A, see if there's any questions in there. I don't see anything. We did miss out by the virtual meeting. We don't have the nice treats. I missed the little tea, but it's okay. There's nothing else that anybody would like to add?
So I would just say I would love to see you all at the next public meeting. It'll be early 2025, probably late January, early February. We'll let everybody enjoy their holidays and then come talk to us about Taft Street. Our last meeting was at the Boulevard Heights Community Center. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So we'll probably be there again. It's right in the neighborhood, just on the south side of Taft. So hopefully easy for residents to attend. So, and then we'll have, to your point, we'll have bracelets and bike lights and some munchies for you too. So hopefully that
Yeah.
encourages to see you in person.
I think we have an opportunity to talk to a lot of different Hollywood residents though.
Mhm.
So that's been good. All right. Well, we appreciate everybody joining us this evening, and we'll be in communication about future activities.
Thank you very much, you guys.
Thanks. Glad to
Thank
do it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.